Okay, we'll get started. Welcome everybody to Thursday's session. We're going to start lying down on our backs. So if you want to make your way down to lie down, and I'll just stay sat up so you can hear me talk a little bit better. Hi Tasha, hi Karen. So yes, coming down onto your backs. And yeah, I'd recommend having your feet quite wide, knees knocked in. Just because that gives a little bit of release on your lower back when we lie down. If we have the legs straight out, I mean, it's completely up to you, but for me, this kind of lifts my lower back a little bit. So it's, when we're starting the class, it's not quite as comfortable for me. So I quite like to have the knees bent in, the feet wide, but entirely up to you. You find your comfortable lying down position just for the first few moments of the class, and I'll just sit up while I'm talking to you. So today's class, it's going to be a bit of an all over body class. Sometimes we'll work on a specific area or towards a specific pose, but every so often I like to do a class which is just kind of involves everything, and they're usually my favourite kind of classes. So we'll be kind of working on everything from the feet, the ankles, through the legs, the hips, the core, the spine, the shoulders, the wrists, the hands, and yeah, just a nice kind of flowing class really. As always, please listen to your body. The one thing I always say is let's try and focus on our breathing. In fact, this is probably the perfect class to really try and focus on your breathing, because we kind of are doing a bit of an all over body flow. It's really nice to kind of get into the flow with your inhales and exhales. I will cue some inhales and exhales. Don't worry if you can't follow the cues that I'm saying, please just follow your own breath. As always, just remember to breathe, especially when we're in a pose for a while. Quite often you're like holding your breath. So let's remember to breathe into the poses. Yeah, and as always, if anything's niggling or not comfortable, then please just kind of come out of the pose a little bit. Take a rest whenever you need to, down in child's pose or sat down, laid down, whatever you need. So we shall get started with everybody lying on their backs in your kind of comfortable lying position, so knees bent or legs straight out. And let's bring one hand to our belly and one hand to our chest. And we'll start to take some nice deep breaths. So let's breathe into our hands, into both of our hands. So quite often we only breathe kind of chest breathing, you know, in normal daily life when we're on autopilot breathing. We'll just take little short, shallow breaths. So bringing the hand onto our belly and trying to move that hand on our belly with our breathing really encourages us to fill up our lungs to full capacity when we breathe. So let's really breathe into our hands. Nice big inhale. A nice full exhale, maybe even sighing out the exhale. Taking a couple more nice big breaths, maybe the biggest inhale you've done all day. Nice big, strong, expanding inhale. And then letting it all out. Just letting the exhales fully encourage you to kind of soften down into the mat. And then letting the breathing just return to normal. Maybe bringing your hands down by your side, or we can bring the arms into a cactus position. So kind of elbows in line with shoulders, fingertips pointing up and away from you, just to start opening up the chest. If that's not comfortable, then just straighten out the arms, that's fine. And keeping the attention on your breathing, but just letting your breathing return to normal. Just noticing how your body is feeling, how you are feeling. Just bringing all your awareness into you. This is your time. For the next whole hour, nowhere else to be. Just letting any thoughts of the day just drift away,
Any thoughts of the weekend or planning or organising? Just letting them go and bringing your focus back to your breathing, back to you, back to your body. Okay, and let's start taking some gentle movements with our knees. So just dropping our knees over to the side, then up to the middle, over to the other side. So feet nice and wide. We're just kind of windscreen wipering the knees, getting some movement into the hips. Little gentle twist in the spine. And then bringing the knees into the chest. So you're squeezing the knees in, left hand on your left knee, right hand on your right knee. And let's take some circles with our ankles. So you can move the ankles the same way, different ways. Nice and slowly. So really feeling the full movement of your ankle. There might be a few crunches going on. That should be fine. Just being mindful of your joints. And then let's point the feet and then flex the toes back towards us. Point the feet and flex. Point and flex. Good. Okay, give the feet a little shake. Okay, keeping the left knee still. We'll take some circles with the right knee. So nice big circles, just dropping the knee down to the side, back and round. So just massaging into that hip joint. And then maybe taking some circles the other way as well. And then bringing the right knee to stillness, same on the left hand side. So just guiding that knee around in some nice big circles with your left hand. Just noticing how your hips are feeling. One might feel very different than the other, which is perfectly normal. We usually have one hip that's a bit tighter and stronger than the other one. So just being aware of that. Good. Okay, bringing both knees to stillness. Just moving the legs slightly away from you, bringing your legs into a kind of tabletop position. Keeping your hands just resting on the top of your thighs. We're going to move just the lower legs in circles. So kind of circling from the knee. It's quite hard not to move your thighs with this, but we can but try. So nice slow circles, just moving your feet round and then kind of back the other way. So really working into all the joints of the legs. Good, okay. Bringing the knees back in, another little squeeze, and then let's bring the knees quite wide. So you're kind of squeezing the knees kind of up into the armpits almost. And then we're going to bring the soles of the feet together, lower the legs down so the feet hit the mat. So the knees are just flopping out to the side into our Supta Baddha Konasana. So just letting the knees fully relax, kind of down to the side. If you need to put any support underneath the legs, then please do so, any cushions or throws or anything, if it's a bit intense on your hips. And then just taking a couple of nice deep breaths here. Slowly sliding the feet away from you, keeping them together, coming into our pencil stretch. So reaching up and overhead with your arms, pointing the toes away from you. And then squeezing the knees back into the chest. This time maybe lifting up your head and shoulders, squeezing yourself into a little ball. And then we're slowly going to rock and roll ourselves up to seated, or we can always come onto our side and push ourselves up with our hands as well. However you get there, let's all meet in a cross-legged position. Please feel free to use some support for your hips here if you have blocks or books or anything to sit on.
It's always quite nice to elevate the hips, especially if you have got tight hips. It's nice to have a bit of height so you can release around the hips and just find a little bit of length in the lower back. So it's sometimes a bit easier to keep length through the spine when you have a little bit of elevation. So I will leave that up to you. Closing down the eyes when we get here, just resting the hands on the knees or in the lap. Lengthening through the spine, so let's reach up with the crown of our head, but be careful not to kind of stick your chin up in the air, pulling the chin back towards us. Finding a nice length through the back of the neck. And then taking our neck stretches. So let's drop our left ear down to our left shoulder. Then slowly semicircling the chin down and round, all the way up the other side. So the right ear is then kind of dropping down to meet the right shoulder. And then we can go back the other way. Just taking your little semicircles in your own time. Pausing where you might need to, just slowly stretching out the neck. Bringing your head back up to center, taking our shoulder rolls. So lifting the shoulders up to the ears, pulling them back and down, and taking some the other way as well. So again, just nice, slow, mindful movements with your shoulders, just noticing if there's any niggles. One shoulder's maybe a bit tighter than the other. Good. Okay, dropping your shoulders back and down. Maybe just kind of opening the chest, squeezing the shoulder blades together a little bit behind you. So you start to feel that strength in your back, but just watch that you're not kind of collapsing into the lower back. Keep that core engaged, so finding that straightness of the spine, still reaching up nice and tall. Okay, a nice big inhale. Let's reach the arms up and overhead. And then exhale, bringing them all the way down behind you, stretching out the arms, pointing the fingertips down behind you. And opening the chest, nice big inhale. And as we exhale, let's bring the arms in front, palms touching, curving into the spine the other way. We'll take a few more of those. Inhaling up, exhaling down and round. Pointing the fingertips behind you, maybe resting the fingertips on the floor, opening up the chest. And then bringing the hands in front, palms touching, curving into the spine as we exhale. Inhaling up. Exhaling down and round. Inhaling, opening up the chest. And exhaling, curving into the spine. Inhaling up. Exhaling down. Inhaling, open the chest. And exhaling, bring the hands to touch. This time we'll inhale up to the top. Exhale, let's twist round to the left. So right hand just comes to the side of the top of the left knee. Left hand just guiding behind you. Taking a couple of breaths here. Then inhaling back up to center. And again, stretching out the arms, fingertips come behind, opening up the chest. Inhale. And exhale. Palms touch. Other side. Inhaling up. Exhaling, twisting over to the right. Breathing here, keeping the spine nice and tall. Inhaling back up to center. And bringing the arms down. Opening up the chest. Inhaling. And exhaling. Curving forward, bringing the palms to touch in front of you. This time we'll keep the hands at shoulder height, just bringing them, extending them out sideways, wiggling the fingers. And then we're going to clench the fists and then point the fists down towards the floor. So you want nice, strong, straight arms here. So you should feel a stretch kind of down the top of your arm. And then let's point the fist up towards the ceiling, then stretch out the fingers. So maybe feeling a stretch kind of down your inner arm here. Clenching the fists again, pointing the fist down, and then up and stretch out the fingers. Good. Giving your hands, wrists, arms a shake. We shall come through onto all fours. So making your way through to all fours, just putting any blocks to the side for now, or maybe towards the front of your mat. We might need them later. So finding your all fours position, hands underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips, feet pointing backwards, just making sure that your feet are not kind of outer angles. So yeah, have nice straight lines through your body, engaging the core. So bringing the belly button back towards the spine, lengthening the back of the neck. We'll start with our shoulder sweeps. So let's take our left hand first, reaching up towards the front top left corner of your mat. And then we're going to sweep back, up and round. Taking a nice big circle with that arm. You can kind of come back into your hips for this as well, just moving as you need to. Inhaling up, exhaling down. Really reaching out with the fingertips, so really engaging through that arm. And then next time we reach up to the ceiling, pausing here, we're going to pivot on the right knee, bring the left foot out towards the end of the mat, flatten that left foot on the ground, and then reach up and overhead with those left fingertips. So coming into a full body side stretch. Left foot all the way through the side body, out into the left fingertip. And then slowly bringing it all back down to your all fours. Right hand side, let's reach forward with our right fingertips up to the top corner of the mat. And then sweeping back and round. Nice big circles. Inhaling to come up. Exhaling down. Really trying to find that movement, that flow with your breath. And moving as quickly or as slowly as you need to. And then next time your hand is reaching up to the ceiling, pausing there, pivoting on that left knee, bringing the right foot out behind us to the back edge of the mat, planting that right foot down, and then bringing those right fingertips up and overhead. So you can feel a stretch all down that side body, really reaching away with those fingertips. And then bring it all back down onto the mat, back into our all fours position. Coming into our cat-cows. So as we inhale, let's gaze forward, tailbone up to the sky. Exhale, curving up the other way, pushing down through the hands, the knees, the tops of the feet. Inhaling forward. Exhaling back. Again, just follow the movement in your own time, using your own breath. Really being mindful of how your spine is feeling and how it is moving as well. It can be really different day to day, so just really pay attention to your body and how it's feeling each time you practice. Okay, we can take some side to side movements maybe. So bringing our right shoulder around to meet our right hip, and then over to the left. Finding a nice little stretch through the rib cage, through the side of the hip. Then go a little bit free flow. So you can go round and round. You can stick with your traditional cat-cow, kind of bending into the elbows, into the hips. Just have a play around, just move however your body needs to. Okay, let's all join in our neutral spine. So finding your flat back, we'll tuck the toes under, shifting the weight back into our heels, pushing down through our hands, lifting the hips up high, coming into our downward facing dog. Let's paddle out the backs of the legs, just opening up the backs of the knees, the ankles, the calves, the hamstrings. And finding a bit of stillness, melting the heels down towards the ground. Do not worry if they don't touch the ground, and do not worry if your legs are bent. We just want to get that height of the hips, lengthen through the spine, maybe give the head a little bit of a shake, relax the neck. And then let's come down into our child's pose. So bringing the knees down to the mat, nice and wide, toes together, hips back and down, and then just relaxing our head down onto the mat or onto a block or any other support you might need for your head. Please don't put any stress on the neck. When we're in our child's pose, just really, this is a great place to pay attention to our breathing in our little kind of cocoon. So really bringing your awareness inwards here, bringing your awareness to your breath, to your body, just fully melting down into the mat, relaxing around the shoulders, the hips. Releasing any grip around the abdomen, the lower back, the arms. Softening the face. And when we are ready, let's slowly lift ourselves back up, planting the hands. We're going to bring ourselves back into our down dog. So keeping the feet hip distance apart, slowly lifting up the hips, bringing ourselves back into our downward facing dog. Now everybody come up onto your tiptoes. So lifting the heels nice and high, straightening the legs here if you can. And then we're going to drop the heels over to the right hand side. Keeping the weight even in your hands if you can. And then coming back up onto our tiptoes, back to center. Let's drop the heels over to the left. Good. Back up onto our tiptoes, melting the heels down. And then we're going to look forward, walk or step yourself up to the front of the mat. Let's come into our ragdoll, so holding on to opposite elbows, or just letting the hands come down to the mat. We'll take a big generous bend in the knees, hinging at the hips and just swaying from side to side. Let the head hang heavy here, so really releasing around the back of the neck. Okay, coming to center, slowly we're going to uncurl ourselves all the way up to standing. Nice and slowly. When we get there, reaching the arms up towards the ceiling, finding length through the spine, grounding down through the feet, firming up the legs, so nice strong base here, pulling the shoulders away from the ears. Just taking the left wrist with our right hand, we'll come into a side stretch. So side stretching over to the right hand side. Coming back to center, over to the other side. Back to center. Let's bring our hands down into our cactus shape. All the way down, clasping the hands behind us. Trying to straighten the arms here if we can. Don't worry if you can't. Just have that intention in your mind of straightening the arms so we really open up across the chest. If you have got the arms straight, try and bring the heels of the hands together. So adding a little bit more strength in the arms. Wherever you are, bending into the knees, letting the hands just come up and overhead. Again, letting the head hang heavy. Then releasing the hands, brushing them along the floor. We're going to come all the way back up to standing, nice and slowly, pushing up through the legs, reaching the arms up high. Okay, this time we'll side stretch the other way first. So grabbing the right wrist with your left hand, up and over. Back to center, over to the other side. Then back to center, bringing our hands down through our cactus shape, squeezing those shoulder blades together all the way down. Clasping your hands the other way if you can. So just moving your clasp along one. So your other thumb is on top or your other pinky is on the bottom. Straightening out the hands, the arms if you can. And then bending into the knees, forward folding, letting the head hang heavy. Generous bend in the knees here. And then releasing the hands again, just brushing them down, reaching forward, coming all the way up to standing, reaching up, bringing the hands together into your prayer position. Pausing in our Tadasana. So nice strong standing position. Grounding down through the feet, firming up the thighs, tucking the tailbone under, lengthening through the spine. Relaxing the shoulders, drawing the shoulder blades together behind you, opening the chest. Softening the face, lots going on here, lots to remember. Taking some nice deep breaths. And then letting the hands just drop down by your sides. Take a nice big inhale, reaching up to the sky. Excuse me. As we exhale, we're going to hinge from the hips this time, keeping our legs as straight as we can, coming into our forward fold. So actually, everybody, let's bring our feet nice and wide here. So let's bring our feet as wide as the mat. Let's make sure the outside edges of our feet are parallel with the edges of the mat. So your toes are pointing directly forward. Straighten up the legs, hinge from the hips. If you need some support for your hands here, if there's a chair or a sofa or something you can kind of support yourself with, it can make the forward fold just a little bit more enjoyable. So if you have something to use, then please do so. And then you can kind of use that support to really straighten the legs, open up the backs of the legs. Firming up the thighs, firming up the quads here will really help to loosen up the hamstrings because they work in tandem together. So the firmer your hamstrings are, the firmer your quads are, sorry, the more your hamstrings will relax. So really, really concentrate on those good strong quads. We'll stay here for a couple of breaths. So nice deep breaths here. Using your exhales to soften, to release, to find that little bit of space. And then seeing if you can maybe find a little bit more of a stretch the longer we are here. Okay. Slowly just bending into the knees. We're just going to turn our toes out slightly so your feet are a bit of a 10 to 2 position, and then slowly just lower the hips down into our Malasana squat. We're not going to stay here for long. So just kind of working into the hips. We can keep our hands in front of us just to guide us down. And then planting your hands on the mat. We'll step one foot back, then the other, coming into our full plank position. Nice strong plank. If you need to have your knees down here, that's absolutely fine. Coming into a half plank. Wherever you are, really pushing up through the hands, broadening the upper back. So nice strong back here. Draw the belly button back towards your spine. Lowering the knees down, squeezing the elbows in, coming down into the mat. And then we'll come into our back bend. So let's start just with a little baby cobra, just peeling the chest off the floor. And then lowering back down. We'll take a couple more of those. Bringing yourself up and then lowering down. Inhaling up and lowering down. Good. This time pushing all the way up through hands and knees, tucking the toes under, hips up high, downward facing dog. Strong through the hands here. We'll push down with all of your fingers, the whole of the palm of your hand. Straighten those arms, relax the neck, pull the shoulders away from the ears. And then look forward, walk or step yourself up to the front of the mat. We'll take a halfway lift, so finding length through the spine, reaching forward with the crown of your head. Exhale, forward fold, bending the knees if you need to. Inhale, let's sweep all the way up, reaching the arms up to the ceiling. Exhale, we're going to come straight back down again into our forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, hands come to the mat. Let's step back with our left leg. Nice big step back, lowering the left knee down to the ground. Coming into our low lunge here. So sweeping the arms up high. Just making sure that front knee is directly over that front ankle. We're going to bring our hands down into cactus. As we inhale, squeezing the shoulder blades together. Exhale, squeeze the arms together in front of you. Feel like there's a big beach ball in front of you. Inhale, let's open up the arms, open up the chest. Exhale, squeeze that big ball. Inhale. Exhale. One more, inhale. Exhale. This time you inhale, let's reach all the way up. Exhale through our cactus all the way down like we did when we were standing, clasping the hands behind our back. Opening up the chest, maybe coming into a little back bend here. Breathing. Releasing the hands. Nice inhale all the way up. Exhale, hands come down to the mat. Tuck that back toe under. Let's step back to our plank or half plank, lowering down to the mat. Inhaling into your back bend. And then exhaling up into your downward facing dog. Okay, let's step our left leg forward. So nice big step forward with that left foot. Just grab the ankle and pull it forward if you need to. Lowering the back knee down to the ground, sweeping the arms up high. Back into our cactus. Inhale, opening up the chest. Exhale, squeezing the ball in front of you. Inhale, opening up the chest. Really find a nice flowing movement with this. Exhale, bringing the arms together. Inhale, open. Exhale, close. Inhale. Exhale. This time as we inhale, let's reach the arms up to the sky. Exhale all the way down, squeezing the shoulder blades together, clasping the hands behind you, clasping the other way if you can. And open up that chest. Releasing the hands. Nice big inhale, reaching up and exhaling down to the mat. Tucking the back toes under, this time stepping forward with that back leg. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold, straight legs or bent legs, your choice. Inhale, all the way up to standing. Exhale, Tadasana. Okay, another round. Inhale up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. This time we'll step back with our right foot first, coming back into our low lunge, so lowering that knee down to the ground. Inhaling, both arms up. And then exhaling, let's bring both hands onto that front thigh. We're going to creep that front foot forward a little bit and really sink into those hips. So we want to find a really good stretch down the front of that the right hip. Strong legs here, so really pushing down with that front foot, the back knee, the top of the back foot, really kind of grounding down, but feeling the energy rise up as well. So we're not just sinking into our hips here. Strong legs. Bringing our weight backwards, we're going to rock on that front foot, so kind of rock back on the heel, pull those toes towards you, finding a stretch through your hamstring. You can bring your hands down to the mat here, or to some blocks, or you can just rest your hand on your leg. Rocking the weight back forward again. We're going to bring our left hand inside the left leg. Wiggle that left foot out to the side of your mat. We want the toes pointing out like they were in our Malasana squat, so at a kind of 45-degree angle, finding our lizard pose. So this is a big kind of stretch into the hips here. Completely depending on your hip flexibility, we can stay up on our hands. You might want to bring the elbows down to the mat or have a block underneath your elbows. Completely up to you. Everybody is different. So just wherever your stretch lies today. Okay, wherever you are, finding your way back onto your hands again. We're going to tuck that back toe under, lift that back knee nice and strong, slide or step that left foot back and round, back into our plank position, lowering down to the mat. Inhaling into your back bend, maybe peeling up a little bit higher this time. And up into your downward facing dog when you are ready. Melting the chest down towards the knees here, so finding that space in the armpits, strength through the arms. Stepping forward with our right leg this time, so nice big step forward, lowering that back knee down, sweeping the arms up, low lunge, and then bringing the hands onto that right thigh, creeping that right foot forward if you need to. You might not need to, this might be enough for you here. And then just finding that nice deep stretch in the left hip flexor. Strong through the legs, really pushing down with that back leg as well. Bringing the weight back, so just rocking back on that front heel, pulling those right toes back towards you, finding the stretch through the hamstring. If you do need to bend the knee slightly here, that's absolutely fine, by the way. Especially if you don't have any support for your hands, that can help. Bringing the weight forward, right hand inside the right leg. Let's wiggle that right foot out to the side, point the toes out at a kind of diagonal, and find our lizard on the other side. This might feel very different than the first side, so please don't worry, that's perfectly normal. You might be able to go a little deeper, you might not be able to go quite so deep, you might even need like a bit of support for your hands here. Completely fine, just find your lizard. Nice long deep breaths here. It's quite an intense stretch, so just stay with your breathing, breathe through it. And the longer you stay with it, the easier the stretch becomes. Okay, tucking that back to under, lifting that back knee. We're going to sweep that right leg back. We'll come back into our plank, take a vinyasa, or you can come straight to downward dog, optional vinyasa. So lowering down to the mat, inhaling up, and all meeting in our downward facing dog. Okay, we're going to walk our hands back towards our feet this time. So nice and slowly walking the hands back, using that core strength, keeping the feet hip distance apart, maybe bending into the knees, taking a nice big inhale all the way up to standing, reaching the arms up high. I can't quite, my ceilings are slanted, but reaching up to the ceiling, and then back down to our Tadasana standing position. We're going to bring our hands behind our backs now. So you can either hold onto your wrists, your elbows. If you are super flexible in the shoulders and the wrists, you might want to come into your reverse prayer. I've got a bit of a dodgy shoulder, so I'm just going to go for the elbows, but just finding your kind of hand position behind your back. So you just want a nice open chest. Keeping the feet hip distance apart, let's take ourselves right to the back of the mat. And then we're going to take a step forward with our right foot, maybe about halfway up the mat. Turn the left toes out at a diagonal. So like we did for our lizard pose just before. And let's make sure our hips are facing straight on. So we want our hips square with the mat. Firming up the thighs. So really strong straight legs here, hinging from the hips, coming into the forward fold. Don't worry about how far down you come here. And we really want to focus on pulling that right hip back, left hip forward. So you should feel a bit of a stretch on the back of that right leg, but really pushing into the back leg at the same time. So really active legs here. Parsvottanasana, this move is called. Great for the legs. Okay, take a nice big inhale, slowly bring yourself up. We're going to bring the weight just onto that front leg. Let's hover that back leg behind us, coming into a little bit of a balance, keeping our arms behind us. Strengthen up your standing leg, so really firm up that thigh. We're going to bring the left leg up in front of us, bringing the knee nice and high. Don't worry if you wobble, that's absolutely fine. Just come back and join us. And then let's see if we can straighten out that left leg. Strong, straight left leg. And then bringing it back down to the mat. So we should be kind of halfway up our mat. So we're going to do the same again on the other side, stepping forward with our left leg. Let's turn our right toes out at 45 degrees, so a little diagonal. And again, square the hips face onto the mat. Firming up the legs, pushing down with the feet. Strong, strong thighs, all the way down, hinging from the hips. And let's imagine you're pulling that left hip back, right hip forward. So it might feel like you're almost twisting into that front leg. Nice, slow, steady breathing. Remember to breathe. And on your next inhale, bring yourself back up. We'll take the weight into our front leg. Let's just hover that back leg off the mat, maybe pointing the toes behind you. Firming up the standing leg, so really strong through that front foot, the front leg. And then let's bring the right knee up in front of us. Nice and high, keeping that standing leg straight. And then let's straighten out the right foot. Strong, 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 strong. And then relaxing down. Good. Releasing the hands, giving your shoulders a little shiggle. And then as we inhale, let's reach the arms up to the sky. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale into our halfway lift. Exhale, hands to the mat. Let's step both feet out to our plank pose. Or half plank, your choice. Lowering down to the mat wherever you are, let's squeeze the elbows in with control, lowering down. Inhaling into your back bend. Exhaling down, pushing back up. Tuck the toes under, downward facing dog. Okay, optional three-legged dog here. So raising the right leg high if you want. And then take a big step forward with that right foot. Coming into a high lunge here, so keeping that back leg lifted off the mat. Strong through the legs, inhaling up into our high lunge. Relaxing the shoulders away from the ears. Pivoting on that back foot, coming into our warrior two. So the back foot's parallel with the back edge of the mat. Front knee tracking over the front foot, remember, let's not have that knee collapsing inwards. Straight over that front foot. Arms at shoulder height, strong arms, extending out through the fingers. Reverse warrior. So right hand comes up and over, left hand just comes to the thigh or the hip. Back to our warrior two. Let's straighten up that front leg. Strong thighs. Reach forward with the right fingertips and then slowly lower the right fingertips just down to that front leg wherever they land into our Trikonasana, triangle pose. Strong through the legs here, firm up those thighs. Keeping our legs straight, keeping our arms straight, we're going to windmill all the way up and round into our reverse triangle. And then bending into the front knee, bringing our arms back to shoulder height, warrior two, bringing the hands behind us, clasping the hands, opening up the chest, reaching those hands down and back away from you. Strong through the legs. Maybe seeing if you can sink a little bit further into our warrior, breathing through it. Releasing the hands back to our warrior two, cartwheeling all the way down, stepping back with that front foot into our plank, vinyasa, lowering down to the mat, inhaling, back bend, exhaling, downward dog. Okay, optional three-legged dog for the left-hand side, lifting that left leg high, if you like, and then everybody stepping the left leg forward, nice big step forward, reaching up into our high lunge once you've got your balance, lowering the shoulders away from the ears, trying to straighten up that back leg. Pivoting on that back foot, warrior two. Again, just watching that front knee is tracking over the front foot, making sure our arms are shoulder height. Reverse warrior, reaching up and over with your left hand. Then coming into our warrior two, straightening that front leg, firming up the thighs, reaching forward with the left fingertips, and then kind of cartwheeling down into your trikonasana. Firming up the thighs here, both legs super straight, super strong. Lifting ourselves up, keeping our arms extended all the way back, reverse triangle. Bending into the front knee, back through our warrior two, then bringing our hands behind us, clasping them the other way, opening up the chest. Maybe sinking the hips down a little deeper, really strong through those legs. Nice, slow, deep breathing here. Then releasing the hands back to our warrior two, cartwheeling all the way down. Stepping back into our plank, either coming straight up into our downward dog or taking a vinyasa, your choice. When we're in our down dog, last downward dog, so really lifting those hips up high, melting the heels down, strong through the legs, strong through the arms, the shoulders, relaxing the head, relaxing the neck. And then we're going to walk the hands back towards the feet, coming towards the back of our mat again. And then uncurling all the way up to standing. Reaching the arms up high, exhaling down, hands come to your side. Let's keep the feet hip distance apart. So yeah, B, just stay at the back of your mat. I'll just come here so you can see what I'm doing. We're going to come onto our tiptoes and then lowering down, but as slowly, as mindfully as we can. So as we inhale, we're going to sweep the arms up high. Coming up onto the tiptoes, nice and strong through the legs. And then exhale, float the arms down, float the feet down, as slow and controlled as you can. Inhaling, reaching up. And exhaling down. Inhaling up. And exhaling down. One more, inhale up. This time bringing the hands together into your prayer position, staying up on your toes. And then we're going to lower ourselves down all the way to the mat, trying to keep up on our toes if we can. Strong through the legs, all the way down. When we get there, bringing the hands to the mat, lowering the knees down, coming into our foot stretch. So keeping the toes tucked under. This is very different for everybody. So just finding where you can have a good stretch through the soles of your feet. You might need to bring your weight forward and just have the toes tucked under, but that might be enough for you. You might come all the way back and not feel a thing. Completely different. So just finding where you can feel a stretch, and we'll stay here for a few breaths. It can be very intense, so please bear with us. It's really good for your feet, really good for your toes. So just taking some nice deep inhales, full exhales. Just breathing through it. And then when we're ready, bringing our weight forward, just tapping the toes out onto the mat. And then maybe giving your ankles some circles. Good. Okay, coming through to seated. We'll just shiggle the legs in front of us. Bringing our legs out straight. Coming into our forward fold. So keeping the legs, the feet about hip distance apart. Having the knees bent here is completely fine. We just want to make sure our toes are pulling back towards us, so our legs are really active wherever they are. It's also fine to sit on a block here as well. Elevate the hips can help with tight hamstrings. So lots of options here. As we inhale, reaching the arms up to the sky. As we exhale, folding forward. Now feel like someone's pulling your arms away from you. We're trying not to curve into the spine too much. So if you're curving a lot, maybe just come back up out of the stretch a little bit, or bend the knees a little bit. Wherever your hands fall is fine. So ankles, shins, feet. Just finding your forward fold. There are so many options available here. So just finding your way. And like little movements, you might just find a stretch in a different part of your body. So you can stretch the backs of the legs, the lower back around the hips. So just really having a little play around with it. Just finding your stretch. And once you're there, just finding some stillness and breathe. Slowly bringing yourself back up to upright. Let's bend the knees in towards us. And let's just fold over our legs, wrapping your arms around your thighs, giving yourself a hug. Finding that gentle curve in the spine, so letting the spine just kind of naturally curve round. And then bringing ourselves back to upright, we're going to slowly lower down to lie. So finding that curve in the spine, maybe reaching forward with our fingers, nice and slowly. Use that core strength to try and lower down as slowly as you can, all the way down. Once we're there, bringing the knees into the chest and having a little rock and roll around, just swaying from side to side, just massaging your back into the mat. Okay, bringing the knees nice and wide, kind of squeezing into your armpits. We'll bring the arms inside the legs to the outside of your feet, coming into our happy baby pose. So initially, just trying to get the soles of the feet parallel with the ceiling and drawing the knees into your armpits. Really good to get the movement in your hips here. So really pushing the lower back into the mat. And then from there, we can just take whatever movements we like. So maybe just kind of straightening one leg then the other, maybe bringing the soles of the feet together, pushing the knees away from you, bringing the knees together. Again, lots of options, so just have a little bit of a play around. Just find what move works for you today.
And then releasing your feet, we're going to leave the legs up in the air. So don't, legs can be bent, that's absolutely fine. And we're just going to give the legs a good shake. So jelly legs, shake, 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 shake. Squeezing the knees back into the chest. Let's extend the left leg out towards the end of the mat. Coming into a twist. So if you have another kind of version of a twist you prefer, please use that instead. Everybody though coming into the twist, let's shift our hips just a fraction to the right hand side as we pull that right knee up and over. It just helps to keep your spine in a straight line. Reaching out the right arm at shoulder height, trying to keep that right shoulder on the floor. Closing down the eyes, breathing into your twist, fully releasing, fully softening. No tension here. And then slowly coming back through to center. Bringing your hips just back in line, squeezing both knees in. And then extending out our right leg. Everybody shift your hips a little bit to the left. And then bring that the left knee over. And extending out the left hand beside you at shoulder height, keeping that shoulder on the floor. Again, if you know a different version of a twist, then please feel free to use it. Just noticing how your body is feeling, how each side of your body might be feeling quite different. Just not judging, just going with it, breathing into it. And then slowly bringing yourself back round to center. Let's shift the hips back in line. And then bringing your feet flat to the mat, hip distance apart as always, finishing off with our bridges. So just making sure your toes are pointing forward. You have a space between your knees, the same as the space between your feet, about hip distance. Hands come down beside you, palms facing down. And let's tilt our pelvis first. So get that pelvic tilt off the floor. And then slowly peel up your spine, all the way up, lifting the hips up high, up onto your shoulders. And then slowly lowering down. The slower the better with this move, guys. So you don't necessarily have to follow me. If you can go slower, please do. We'll take a couple of rounds. So in your own time, peeling up off the floor, inch by inch, vertebrae by vertebrae. And then slowly lowering back down. Trying to feel each little part of your spine coming back down onto the mat. Taking one more round. And then next time your hips meet the floor, let's stretch out our legs coming into our Shavasana. So just take your time coming there. Bringing the legs nice and wide, feet flopping out to the side. Hands wide, arms wide, palms facing up towards the ceiling. And then maybe just nestling the shoulder blades together just a fraction of an inch to open up across the chest. Maybe tucking your chin slightly down towards your chest so you have that length through the back of your neck. And then fully melting down into the mat. Noticing your breathing, noticing your body, noticing how your body is feeling now. Fully relaxing all through the lower part of your body, so your feet, your ankles, your calves, your knees, your thighs, your hips. Fully relaxing, fully letting go, maybe giving your legs a little mini shake and then release. moving into the top half of your body, relaxing your belly, your abdomen, all around your chest, your lower back, your middle back, your upper back, your shoulders, down through your arms, your hands, your fingers. Fully release, fully let go. Allow your body to relax, to soften. Feeling heavy in the head, letting those neck muscles go. Softening around the forehead, the eyes, the cheeks, the jaw, the lips, the tongue. Letting the whole body relax. And then ever so slowly starting to take some deeper breaths. Maybe wiggling the fingers and toes. And then bringing your feet together, hands up and overhead, coming back into our pencil stretch. Reaching out through the toes, all the way through the legs, the torso, the shoulders, the arms, the fingers. And then bringing the knees into the chest. Let's squeeze back into our little ball. And then come to rest over on your side. You can choose left or right side. Just bringing our arm under our head for our little pillow. And then slowly pushing yourself back up to your seated position. Trying to keep your eyes closed if you can, just making your way there in your own time. Grounding down through the sit bones or through the legs if you're kneeling. Let's lengthen up through the spine, through the crown of the head. Tucking that chin slightly down towards the chest. Lifting the shoulders up to the ears and then melting them back and down, bringing our hands together into our prayer position. Slowly opening up the eyes. Namaste.